Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 6th. It's Tuesday in the 27th week in Ordinary Time, and we do have a couple of saints that we remember today. Saint Bruno, and I'm going to talk about him a little bit because I think there's some interesting connections with even stuff that we deal with in the modern day from Saint Bruno. And then Blessed Marie Rose Durocher. Um, so those are the two saints, just like yesterday we had a saint and a blessed. We do again today. Um, but I also, too, did get a question or a topic that someone wanted some more information about. Um, it's about the rosary. And I thought, well, I'll do an update tomorrow and Thursday, maybe on that topic. I'll use that because I think it's going to take more than just. I don't want to do a 15-minute update. So I'll probably break it into two. And since tomorrow is the feast of Our Lady of the Rosary, that would be a nice time to talk about it. So I'll talk about the Rosary. Probably, I will talk about tomorrow. Like I said, I'll do an update. It might start about this time. And then I will also then probably it'll bleed over into Thursday also. Maybe even into Friday. We'll see. I got to do a little research on probably some of the dates and everything like that. But like I mentioned, today we do celebrate Saint Bruno. Saint Bruno is the founder of the Carthusian monks, and they are pretty strict observance monks. And from the Magnificat that I get, they give a quick little biography of him, and they say he was born around the year 1035 in Cologne. He became a scholar in Reims, France, and then chancellor of the diocese. In a letter to a friend, he later recalled how he chose to abandon the fleeting shadows of this world and to lay hold of the eternal by taking the monastic habit. So he went first to the Cistercians, a group of monks, and then a grant of land in France from future Saint Hugh of Grenoble permitted the founding of La Grande Chartreuse. Maybe that last word pricked up some ears. That's the mother house of the Carthusian order. And so they're still there today in the mountains, in that mountain valley of Chartreuse. And so Carthusian is really kind of comes from Chartreuse. But any of you that maybe after a nice meal want a little drink, maybe have had Chartreuse before. And so that kind of piqued my interest on what the connection was between there. And there is a very definite connection that's Chartreuse comes from the Carthusian monks. So they were over 500 years old, and then in 1605, at a monastery in Valvert, a small suburb of Paris, they received a gift from Duke Francois Hannibal d'Estrées, Marshal of the King Henry IV's artillery, an already ancient manuscript for an elixir. It would eventually be nicknamed the Elixir of Long Life. It says that the manuscript was probably the work of a 16th century alchemist with a great knowledge of herbs and skill to blend, infuse, macerate the 130 of them to form a perfect balanced tonic. So in the early 17th century, only a few monks and even a few apothecaries understood the use of herbs and plants in the treatment of illness. They say that the manuscript's recipe was so complex that only bits and pieces of it were understood and used at that monastery in Valvert outside of France. So at the beginning of the 18th century, the manuscript was sent to the mother house of the order, La Grande Chartreuse, in the mountains not far from Grenoble. And an exhaustive study of the manuscript was undertaken. The monastery's apothecary, Frère Jérôme Malbec, finally unraveled the mystery, and in 1737 drew up the practical formula for the preparation of this elixir of long life in 1764. So that's where it starts. Now, they say like the distribution and sales of this new medicine were limited. One of the monks would load his mule with small bottles, and he sold it in Grenoble and other small villages. Even today, this elixir of long life is still made only by Chartreuse monks, following that ancient recipe. And it has a very long very long name in French that I won't get into, but it's basically kind of this elixir of I think herbs from the Grand Chartreuse. So this liquor of health is all natural plants, herbs, and other botanicals suspended in wine alcohol. It's 138 proof. That's elixir of long life. But everybody liked it so much that it was often used as a beverage instead of just medicine. So the monks in 1840 adapted it and made a little milder version, which we know today as green chartreuse. So if you ever see green chartreuse, that's 110 proof. And so that goes back to 1840 when the monks produced that more mild version. And then there were, the history gets a little bit complicated. I'm not going to get into all of it because of war and then the Emperor Napoleon and outlawing of the monks and the French Revolution and everything like that. There was, I think in 1903, the French government nationalized the chartreuse distillery, so the monks were kicked out. It was given to or sold the trademark chartreuse to a group of distillers who set up the Compagnie Fermiere de la Grande Chartreuse. My French is horrible, but they set this up. It was in existence until 1929, and it went bankrupt in that year. And if you think about that, that's the stock market crashes too, and here in the United States, so there's pretty much a huge depression all throughout the world. The shares of this company, when it went bankrupt, were bought by friends of the monks and offered to them. They regained ownership then of the trademark at that point, and so they returned to their distillery, which had been built in 1860, not far from their monastery, and resumed production of the true chartreuse liqueurs. So you can still, that's the selection, crushing, and mixing of the secret herbs, plants, and other botanicals used in producing liquors is done in the monastery by 2 monks. So they still do it there. So there's also too yellow chartreuse, which is I'm not sure what year that was introduced, but that's even a little bit more mild too. So it's interesting to see that monks, we think of them, well, they have a long history with distillation and breweries and things like that. So some of the, even today, some of the best beer. The monks of Durocher in Italy produce fantastic beer. If we think of Dom Perignon, that's a monk who first produced that champagne, or is given credit for it. So there is this connection with it. I even have a book. I could show you the Drinking with the Saints that a gentleman put together. So he has for all the various different saints different drinks that are connected with them. So I'm guessing today on the Feast of St. Bruno, a little toast of chartreuse, whatever color is your favorite, would be very appropriate for him. So tomorrow we'll talk more about the rosary. If you do have any other topics that you kind of want me to cover, please leave them in the comments. I'll look at them when I get a chance and figure out what maybe that gives me some ideas of things to talk about over these next few days or weeks or months. So that's about it for today about St. Bruno. I'll ask him to pray for us. Like I said, if you have some chartreuse, today would be an appropriate day, maybe after a nice meal, to have a little toast in his honor. And hope everyone has a very blessed day. So God bless you, everyone, and have a great day.